Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining the podcast. My name is Jake.
I'm Mike.
And together we know nothing. We are new to the Nerds and Beyond family, and we're happy to be aboard. Thank everybody for having us and listening and tuning in. Right off the bat, we're just going to get into it. We just finished watching the series from Amazon, The Boys. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, you had begged me a few weeks ago. Didn't really beg me. You texted me to watch it, and I gave you kind of a, not the nicest retort because we were still in the hospital, but I told you when I get home I'd watch it. And yeah, we binged it. I mean, the last probably 2 nights we got through it, with these hour-long episodes. It didn't take long, and we were finished.
Yeah, apparently it's like, I didn't really watch too many Amazon series. I was interested in this in the first place, so I decided to check it out. But I guess a lot of their series are only 8 episodes.
Yeah, and you were, one of the big discussions we had before this, when we started talking about it, was you were saying how impressed you are with Amazon. And I told you, from what I've seen, they've come a long way. I was a real big fan of Red Oaks. I thought that was a high quality show. If anybody wants to get into that, it's actually a pretty good comedy. Based at a tennis club and everything. Well, really like a, rich people tennis club at that. But no, you had been emphatic that this was something that I had to watch. Very dark. I'm not a big superhero guy, but just with how dark it is and everything, you were so emphatic that this needed to happen. And yeah, dude, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head more. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was something that I actually really enjoyed. It was one of the most enjoyable shows for me that I've watched in a long time. I like Stranger Things, I haven't got to watch Good Omens yet, but it was just something about this show that I really liked, enough to the point to where I watched Jack Ryan, their show on Amazon, and I think they got some nice little choices. To me, Netflix is kind of losing some oomph, but The Boys, for those who don't know, is a show on Amazon. It's based off a comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Hopefully that's how you say dude's name. But it was developed for Amazon by Eric Kripke, who actually created Supernatural, one of the creators.
Yeah, so he's the guy that's kind of in charge of Supernatural. This is like Supernatural on steroids, though, with being R-rated and everything like that. I mean, I know that in Supernatural they have the demons and everything like that, but this is way more chaotic.
Yeah, well, it's not on TV. It's on a streaming service.
That's true. It's on a streaming service. This is true.
It's also it's in a universe where superpowered people or superheroes are normal people almost, and they're just in the general public, and they work for a big corporation called what do they say, Vought?
I believe Vought. Yeah,
I just didn't know if it was pronounced differently. But at any rate, they pretty much care about and social media and things like that,
and how much revenue they're making.
Yeah It's pretty much what a superhero would be like in today's real world, I think, anyways. And I kind of like that idea, instead of them being so Captain America-y.
Yeah, this is true. Also, we were looking at it, and Seth Rogen has a hand in this, I want to say, too, right?
Yeah, he did.
And Evan Goldberg, yeah. So This is where the comedy side is coming in on this part.
It was surprisingly funny to me.
It's funny as hell.
I didn't really know what to expect. I saw the trailers for it, and I thought, this just looks like something that could be pretty interesting just because of the superhero component. And right off the bat, I thought it was funny. I mean, when his girlfriend, and by he, I mean Huey, who's played by Jack Quaid, his girlfriend gets demolished by A-Train, who's played by Jesse Usher, and he just explodes, bursts in the blood.
Yeah, she blows up all over the place.
I was like, oh my God.
And the funny part is I was watching it with Tiff, and I was like, she's standing in the road, something bad's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even a joke. I'm like, something bad is about to happen. I had thought she was gonna get hit by a bus or something, but then when he runs her over and he's like, oh man, I can't stop, I got somewhere to be, I'm just like, what just happened?
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's pretty cool. And it actually kept my interest. But it's pretty cool, and it just took off from there. And all the characters are really likable.
Except for Homelander.
Homelander, he does an excellent job being the villain. He's Anthony Starr, by the way.
For our listeners, you're going to hear a little bit more of us down the line. Here are likes and dislikes of people playing characters and things. One thing that I've always appreciated about a good villain is that when you see that guy's face, or that girl's face for that matter, in another show or another movie, you will forever hate them just because of that one role. Now, I go back to it because of course, the main villain in Pan's Labyrinth. Basically the general, the worst scumbag dude, basically beats a guy's face in with a wine glass and kills him. And on top of it, he's also like a good guy in The Pianist, with, Adrian Brody, like they're obviously complete 180. He's a good guy. But I remember like I see him in The Pianist. I'm like, no, fuck that guy. He's always a bad guy. So for me, like I'm looking at Homelander, I'm looking at that dude's face. And granted, I'm the worst when it comes to watching shows, watching movies. But at the, like, or at least like say, you could kind of say action movies or superhero movies. But anytime I see his face in the future, I'm going to be like, no, fuck that guy.
What I thought was phenomenal about him, because I think he did an excellent job just acting in the show, period, is the constant smiling. No matter what, he had that picturesque smile on. And it's just that constant smug look, and he's just a prick.
Yeah, Anthony Starr is his name, too. I want to make sure that we get that. Him and Carl Urban both are from New Zealand. It's kind of cool. Like, seems like the majority of the major cast in this are not from America.
Mm-hmm. And hey, man, nothing wrong with that. No. They all use American accents anyways.
Yeah, they're all pretty
They
spot
all
on.
sound very well. I thought the show was very well written. There was a constant, not necessarily a thrill, but there was never any like lulls in it. I was constantly enjoyed. There was always something going on. Like I had told you at the end of the first episode, Huey Campbell, his girlfriend dies on the sidewalk, and he gets all angry and wants revenge, is the premise of this show.
Yeah.
And he runs into, Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher runs into him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Played by Carl Urban. Carl Urban, for me, like, he was the one guy that I knew going into the show because of my love for the new Star Trek movies. I know Star Trek fans, I feel some type of way sometimes about the new Star Trek movies, but I tend to really enjoy them. But really big on Carl Urban in this series. Billy Butcher is a fantastic character.
Oh, it was great. And he has this personal vendetta against superheroes because his wife was killed potentially.
He just doesn't know.
Whatever it may be, yeah.
Yeah.
And he convinces Huey to join his little cause and try and kill superheroes, essentially. And he convinces him to go into, this is the first episode.
Well, he says bring him to justice at first. Then, as you get closer to him, then you realize
he also acts like he's law enforcement.
Yes, he has like the FBI badge. Mm-hmm. And like then they go into that club with all the superheroes, like that random club, and they think that he's police to let him in.
Yeah.
Billy Butcher is a great character.
Excellent manipulation.
Absolutely.
But he convinces Huey to go into their main little headquarters and plant a bug, and who happens to see him is Translucent, which is basically their invisible man.
Now, what'd you think of the part where he was in the women's restroom standing there?
And that's what I was going to say, because these aren't just normal superheroes, they're all assholes and entitled, and Translucent, the invisible guy, he's in the women's bathroom naked jerking off. Yep. Because he doesn't go invisible when he has clothes on, so he has to be nude, so he's just a pervert.
Yep.
And they know Dominique Elliott, I think it was. She's Queen Maeve.
Yes.
She's basically like their Wonder Woman.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, in a sense, Homelander is basically like Superman, but like Bizarro, in that sense.
Well, that, and I'd say almost like Captain America, because he's got like the red, white, and blue suit.
Yeah, he talks about how like they wanted him to wear a red cape at first, but he's like, no, I need to wear an American flag. Mm-hmm. Just ridiculous.
The costumes were fantastic.
Yeah.
It was very well done. I can't wait for season 2. Because now their budget's going to be through the roof.
Next year, too. Yeah, they've already started shooting season 2. It'll be out next year.
People were flipping out, demanding it, making sure that it was happening.
Yeah, it's like Rick and Morty status right now. Like, we need it. We need it right now.
But I digress. Point being is, end of the first episode, Translucent ends up going to Huey's shop that he works at anyways. He doesn't own the shop. And they get in a fight. And there's a fight with an invisible guy. And it's super comical to me because like the music cues, like I was telling you, and Butcher grabs a crowbar and he swings and he hits nothing. And the guy's like, I'm over here, asshole. And the only way he can see him is by spitting his blood on him.
Spitting blood in his face.
I know, it almost sounds like it's really graphic show.
It's really graphic.
And it kind of is in certain moments. But it's done pretty well. Like nothing is too crazy. And as soon as that happened and that little fight ended and they actually like electrocute him and they kidnap him.
Oh my God, I thought he was going to shove it right up his ass.
So did I.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I was like, fuck, this show's got something. It's pretty interesting. And then I watched the second episode and I was just hooked.
Yeah,
after that.
we did 4, 3, 1. That's how we did it. We did 4 the first night, then we did 3. Like I still can't believe we didn't finish. Well, we were just so tired, especially with the baby, but we were so tired we just didn't get through that. Now, what do you think as far as it goes? Because like we don't want to sit here and ruin the whole entire show. We would rather we kind of plant a bug for everybody who want to go see this for themselves. Now, what did we think about Annie or of course, Starlight? What did you think of her character?
It was a good character. I'll kind of go off topic again, just a hinge. But it was, as soon as I finished watching the show, I thought to myself, I wonder what critics are thinking of this, or people. And I looked up reviews.
It's through the roof.
Well, initially, because I watched this shit day one, and I was really into it then, and it wasn't as popular. And I think it had like a couple hundred reviews, and a lot of them were pretty negative about how it was a completely sexist show, and The Boys is exactly who it's made for. The Boys. It's just, whatever. But I thought that was pretty silly because all these, guys are doing all these things for love of a woman or whoever it may be. Sure. And it's revenge for their significant other. The most powerful people in the show, for the most part, are women.
Yeah.
Annie, played by Erin Moriarty, I believe her last name is.
Moriarty.
Don't correct me. No, I'm checking this one. But yeah, she's a good character, and she's trying to learn and develop to be her own person, and she's getting manipulated. And
they want her to be this wholesome Midwest, religious, freak type of deal, and they want her to appeal to that demographic and those young ladies like that are going to be her fan.
And she's there to just help people, and they go, no, you need to be this poster child of what we want you to be. And when she first shows up, she's trying to meet everybody and trying to make sure she can be a part of the 5. She runs into the Deep.
Yeah, the Deep is
basically Aquaman.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's a guy named Chase Crawford. I've never seen him before, but as soon as he came up on the screen, Tiffany goes, "Oh my God, he's from Gossip Girl!" Like immediately, like she was excited. Knew who he was and everything like that. Wow,
he did a good job too. Yeah. I mean, before we talk about the scene, but I mean, like everybody just did really phenomenal. I thought, like, I didn't really have any issues with anything, but. No. But yeah, point being is this, this was a scene that was mentioned is, he basically goes, you need to perform oral sex on me in order to get into this.
You're the new one here. You need to fall in line and sexually assaults her. I mean, this is, really taking place in modern times with, having a hot button topic like this.
Well, so they even later on kind of like poke fun at the Me Too movement because they're like, you need to come out ahead of this and you need to apologize and say that you have a problem and you're going to go somewhere real quick.
Dude, by the way, just again, so we're not spoiling a lot of this, and Jake and I are going to kind of go back and forth through this. It's not even fair how much all these years you hear of all the jokes that they make about Aquaman, and it's like all of a sudden they took all of those years of jokes to the nth degree with the Deep character, with the love of animals, sea animals and everything.
It was actually really good. He makes jokes. He goes, "They only want me to show up when there's a scene involving water or something," and he comes diving out of the water. Yep. Just a couple silly things. He tries to save a dolphin. He tries to save a lobster in a grocery store.
Yes.
Stuff like that. And nothing goes well for this man. Like he's basically just a good looking guy.
He's kind of a goofball, bro. He's seriously like, it's really funny because I kept trying to figure him as a person. Like he's that jock guy that's just so stupid. And he doesn't, but he gets through life because he's a jock guy. You know what I mean? Like he's
it's all about his looks.
Yeah, dude, he's jacked. I mean, he's absolutely swole in this show. I mean, obviously, good looking dude. You're happy for the fact that he got cast for this part. Definitely. I mean, I think of him as like he would be a great professional wrestler. I love wrestling, and that's what I see now. Going a little bit further again to not ruin too many things, not ruin too many of the surprises on this. I mean, there's a couple of other superheroes like Black Noir, which is the funniest to me. Black Noir is the one superhero that like lays low the whole time.
You have no idea who he is.
You have no idea who he is. He seems like he's always working. He's always doing what he's supposed to be doing. Like the one time Homelander calls him in, he's like, "No, Black Noir, you're fine. You're doing great. But everybody else, get your shit together." What about, if we kind of go into it? So the premise of The Boys is, this is like a put together group. This isn't just Huey and Billy Butcher. It's a put together group of a couple of guys. You can almost say like mercenaries type of deal that hunt these superheroes. And the other two main ones, you first find Frenchie. Frenchie comes into the picture first.
Frenchie's a cool, crazy little quirky guy. he was actually ends up being like a pretty likable character. But initially when he first came, I was
He's
like,
super spastic at first.
Yeah,
You're just
and-
like, how is this going to work?
and I like genuinely had like a hard time understanding some of the stuff he would say just
for
because
sure.
of the scenes, because he's got a very thick French
I
accent.
mean, we're watching it at night too, so imagine how tired we are, and he's talking, and we're both like, I don't know what he just said.
It's like I just had to pay attention. And then they had, well, that guy's name is Tamar Kapan, I believe. And then you have Laz Alonso,
Mother's Milk.
whose name is Mother's Milk.
Yeah.
It's basically a part of the Butcher's crew. And they don't ever really touch that much on who their or what their past was. So I guess it kind of leaves it open. Like I know they work together and they're
Yeah, they
one of their
worked together under the team that they were on originally under, the CIA and everything.
yeah, and plans went wrong. But point being is like they could use that later on.
Yeah, you find out Mother's Milk has, obviously a lady in his life, also has his daughter. That kind of becomes a complex situation later on. It seemed like at first Frenchie was dating the chick with the weird eyes, or with her or whatever, but it seems like she's just someone that helps him. I mean, the dude is just all over the place. He knows something about everything. In one of those senses, it's like, Frenchie was one of the most important things because, you look at the demographic of the team. Butcher's kind of, I mean, I hate to say he is really kind of the muscle, even though Mother's Milk is too. I mean, they're both muscle in that sense, but maybe it's just Butcher's like has less fear. He's more intimidating.
I think Butcher doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And he's that guy who like kind of comes up with the idea and goes, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And the other guys are like, we should think about this, especially because, Huey is kind of like that nerdy guy in the group who goes, well, we really shouldn't do that. And I'm not that kind of person kind of thing. What about his father?
Oh yeah, Simon Pegg, right?
Yeah.
That was cool to see him play that role. And
I didn't really care for his character.
I like
to be
he's
honest.
always wearing that sweater. He always looks super passive, but that's kind of like they made him super passive aggressive for that reason because that's how Huey's supposed to be.
Yeah, and
He's just
he
supposed
never.
to-
I
yeah.
think that was almost kind of funny because he never plays any of those roles. I
No.
just kept thinking of Shaun of the Dead and him just being some. I don't know.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. Now, I mean, it wouldn't go like we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we don't bring up, because again, we talked about the company. Elizabeth Shue is the head of everything. Like she's absolutely the head of everything. She's in charge, basically of. Really, she's in charge of Homelander, but I mean, it just seems like she's more in charge of everybody else too. But she is such a manipulative, horrible human in the show.
Well, it's great because I mean, it's not like her company. She just does a really good job running it. And towards the end, they talk about promoting her. And
Yeah,
that
when
she's going to take over.
Mr. Edgar or whatever, they say, oh, Mr. Edgar wasn't there for that. And that he seems like he's almost like a silent owner in that sense.
I just like it because, like I said, it makes everything very real world and modern, because all she really cares about is doing a good job and getting promoted, right? And making her business better.
Yeah, making her brand.
The deep and, the sexual assault, if you will, that went down. Like I like how they actually incorporate that and they kind of poke fun out of it, but at the same time, they're serious about it. They do a good job with mixing modern things in. Who's your favorite character, by the way?
So as far as like the main characters go, I would have to say that it would go without saying, like, I love Billy Butcher. I mean, the language that he uses, the way he talks to people, just in general, how he talks down about pretty much anything that's involved in this movie. He's almost like an Eric Cartman type of figure where he's always going to be negative and nasty. And it's great. It's great for that. As far as like a minor character went in this, I mean, again, Madeline Stillwell, Elizabeth Shue, she was great. One of the things that I thought was great, just like the little tiny things like the Ezekiel character, right? Obviously the Ezekiel character, once you start watching the show, it's over the top ridiculous. And then, of course, even Mesmer, like Haley Joel Osment being involved in the show, like Haley Joel Osment being Mesmer, he just basically holds your hand and he can like basically figure out what you're thinking about, sees your past. Quite a quick little character that's just a really good character. But I mean, dude, it's hard for me to not say Billy Butcher because he's just such an absolute asshole and lovable, so lovable.
I like him from previous movies he's done. But something about A-Train, Jesse Usher, I really liked his character. Quite frankly, I really liked Homelander because it was executed so well. And yeah, Madeline, Elizabeth Shue, or her main character, she was great, man. Like I said, I really don't recall any moments I didn't like about the show. I feel like a little fanboy about it because a lot of shows I like, but I can knock some stuff. I'm actually like, I'm going to probably go watch it again. I just enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, I don't see myself having any hard time watching it like through again. It definitely is worth a second go around, especially like we just said, if we were missing some stuff, maybe to fill in some holes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really. I mean, I guess people probably have seen it. It's not like this is a big spoiler thing, but
Yeah.
but it's kind of cool. Like I said, the whole concept. I mean, A-Train is the fastest man in the world, but he's not necessarily, because there's other people like him.
Yeah, like Shockwave is his
Shockwave,
rival. Yeah.
And they have big shoe deals and brands, and they actually race each other to see who's fastest and silly stuff like that.
Yes.
And then you start to see that, oh, there's potentially super villains, but I thought these people were super villains. So it's just so weird. And it's kind of cool because it's just a whole modernized thing, and it's all political and more than likely what shit would probably be like.
Yeah.
Until the superheroes just decide to go, hey, they can't stop us.
Yeah, we're the strongest people on Earth. No one can hold us back.
Did you want to mention the baby scene, or do you feel like...
You know what? The baby scene, everybody needs to see for themselves. I think that,
I know you liked it a lot.
It was in the previews a little bit, but...
I think it was.
Yeah, the scene in the NICU with the baby, absolutely next level stuff. The ending absolutely fucked my head. I watched that this morning, and I was like, no, this cannot happen. I was just talking to people about the movie Us, and everybody that saw Us said, I loved the movie until the end. This show, I absolutely love this show, and it's not that I don't love the ending, it's just the ending makes me it makes me cringe with like, this cannot be happening, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just can't happen, but it happened.
Yeah, it's weird to me because I sat there and I watched it, and I actually rewound a little bit because I thought maybe I had missed something, like it was like a flashback or whatever it may be, kind of like you had hinted at me before this started. And I mean, it's not that I thought the ending was bad in any way. I just kind of definitely didn't see it going that way.
The ending isn't bad. I want our listeners to make sure that, I'm stressing this part. The ending's not bad. It's just, if you're really invested emotionally into this show, mentally and emotionally, the ending breaks you.
I mean, it was a twist for sure.
Oh,
I
big
just
time.
definitely didn't think that's the way it was going to go. So
No.
I don't know if it was like noticeable and I just wasn't paying attention, but it was a total shock value, and it just made me go, what the hell is season 2 going to be?
Yeah.
Because like I said to you, there's numerous different outlets they can go with.
Season 2, I would think, has to start this way. You're going to see where everybody else is. Like, you're going to see where, because the boys obviously are going to be somewhere else from Butcher when this next season starts. Again, we're not going to ruin it. We're just going to say that much. The one character that we really didn't get too involved in, because she does happen a little bit longer down the line, through basically chasing everything through the rabbit hole and everything. But you eventually find out about these supervillains that are involved. And one of the supervillains just so happens to get involved with the boys. She actually, not a he, she never says a word in the entire series.
Well, let's just do the whole spoiler alert
Sure.
kind of thing. If you don't want to have the rest of the show ruined, maybe stop here kind of thing.
Yeah, but
let's just say some shit.
Yeah, but she doesn't talk, but all of her actions are incredible. Her superpower that you end up finding out, she's like Wolverine. Even though, she gets hurt, she regrows whatever got hurt.
Totally dies.
Totally, yeah, she was totally
comes
dead.
back to life and heals.
Yeah.
And this is all because of, like, once again, spoiler. I just for people who potentially haven't seen it yet, all these superheroes are manufactured essentially, and we don't know how or why essentially. Well, I mean, we do know it was basically some smart lab or scientist, some guy, he genetically modified people and he figured out how. Yeah. But because of that, somehow they sell that to other countries and they create like super terrorists essentially.
Well, we find out that that's a little bit different. We find out one person goes and creates these super terrorists, but she is one of them, but she ends up turning good, which is really cool that you get to see her character. I mean, again,
Karen Fukuhara. I don't believe they actually give her a name. What was her name?
Kuroki, or I want to say something of that nature, because remember when Mesmer goes into her head, he's able to hear her brother in the scene. Her brother says her name. Yeah, that's true. Tells her that she needs to eat. But it is incredible just to think. I mean, there's all kinds of different things like the Watchmen. The Watchmen have always talked about kind of like the hypocrisy not only of the government, but also, of course, of like, what would happen if superheroes were superheroes. But this one also takes it to that next level.
And that's what I mean too, is like they make fun of pretty much everything in the real world nowadays, and they kind of poke at the political things.
Yeah.
The one national security advisor, I believe he is, or something along those lines, they manipulate him into sleeping with a woman who is pretty much like Mystique.
Yeah.
And she can turn...
I think it's
actually
a
a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a big, nerdy, fat dude, and he turns himself into, basically a hot chick, and then turns himself back into the guy, takes a selfie doing it with the guy, and they blackmail him.
Yeah.
And the political... to gain political things.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, man. And like I said, it was just thoroughly enjoyable. I never thought to myself, this was over the top. But
that's because of our style. Like, that's of who we are. We both loved our comedy, dark humor. Blood and gore will never faze both of us. I mean, if I'm watching this as a religious person, I'm not thrilled.
Yeah, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, you're not going to like it. If you're trying to, I get it. I'm a new parent at this point, but if I'm a parent and I have a kid watching this, it's going to be similar to Deadpool. You're not going to want to have your kid sit through this. This is not appropriate for, a younger kid to sit through.
We just mentioned a scene. There was only one scene that Amazon actually told the creators they can't do, and apparently involved Homelander. And there was a scene in which he was saying how I'm fucking Homelander. I can do whatever I want. And apparently in the scene, he starts to take his pants off and pleasure himself because he's like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, because he can do whatever he wants.
And,
he's the
and
strongest,
Amazon,
most powerful person in the world.
Yeah, and Amazon was, no, you can't do that. But other than that, they did a lot of things that I thought kind of pushed the line a little bit, but not too bad. It's not like the show got that much backlash or anything. It's rave reviews. I think it's now probably one of the most watched shows on Amazon.
Every day I will log into my Facebook account and someone else started the show and someone else started the show. I was just out at a family dinner and my family that, specifically love this kind of stuff. I'm like, have you watched The Boys yet? And they say, no. I'm like, you got to do it. You just got to commit. It's incredible.
It's just an entertaining show. Like I said, and unless you're watching this to try and get upset at whatever it may do, I think you'll enjoy it. I haven't really advocated for a show like this in a long time.
No, like and that's what I was shocked about, is that you specifically, you are one of the hardest critics I know as far as it goes. And even you were like, oh, bro, you're going to just tell me it wasn't that good. You're going to watch it and be like, I don't understand why you liked it so much. And I told you, I'm like, nah, man, I'll go into it with the same mindset that I normally do, have little expectations. And if it's good, it's good. The reason it resonates so much with me is, again, how I feel about superheroes. Not a big fan, but obviously I love Deadpool. I'll tell everybody until I go blue in the face how much I love Deadpool. Again, not a comics guy, so I can't tell you all of the characters that should or shouldn't be involved or where it's completely accurate versus not accurate. But the point is that these guys are dirty, awful human beings. And you can see through their guts and grime out the gate. It doesn't even take episodes. You see how bad they are in the first episode.
For sure. And so it's like, you don't know if you like these guys. You don't really know who you're rooting for, because essentially the boys could be a bad group of guys.
Sure.
Or the superheroes are a bad group of guys, depending on how you actually really want to look at it. More superheroes.
Yeah, it's like the small soldiers mentality. That movie that came out in I want to say the late 90s, early 2000s, Tommy Lee Jones was the main commander. He did the voice of the main commander. And the whole time you're thinking that the monster creatures are going to be the bad guys. You find out the small soldier. Yeah. Well, the Gorgonites.
Yeah.
Gorgonites.
I fucking love that movie.
And
that
exactly.
was I had action figures and all that stuff.
Oh, dude, you thought like Gorgonites, they're monsters. They're going to be the bad guys. You find out these fucking soldiers were military grade, basically trained to kill toy soldiers. And they're like the bad. So it's like it kind of flip-flops it here. You just find out just how really genuinely bad some of these people are.
So I would critique the show in the sense that, granted, only 8 episodes and it's only season 1. So I can't go, wow, how upsetting is it that we didn't get backstory to pretty much every character.
But they have an entire next season coming.
No,
it's
for
not
sure.
like, they canceled
this
it.
Is going to continue for a while.
Sure.
It's high praise all around, unless season 2 is just a total flop, which I doubt it. Like I said, now they have more money backing them, so they can do crazier things and things can look better. The character, Queen Maeve, the Wonder Woman, if you will, you don't really get to know much about her, essentially, besides that she's like a recovering alcoholic.
She was like Starlight. She was a good, like she was a.
She had her innocence about her.
Yeah,
and
she
this
meant
company
well.
pretty much took her away,
Sure.
or took that away. Turns out she's a lesbian, or was, or is, or maybe she's bisexual. Because
Yeah.
her and Homelander kind of have a thing, but you never really see them be intimate in any type of a way. So, could just be for pictures, basically. Like, it'd be nice to know more about her backstory, more about A-Train, Mother's Milk. You know, all we know is that he's got a wife, and you know, there's just quick little tidbits. But you know, behind Billy Butcher, he has his whole story, and it definitely progresses. Same thing with Huey, Annie, Starlight. She's got a good story in her character development, and she grew up being really religious. Now she's kind of made her way out of that. She goes to a religious, festival.
Fall from grace in that sense. You know, you lose your religion.
Really trying to figure out who she is. She kind of gets associated with the boys, but also not, because they do illegal things and kill people.
And again, this is where season 2 will start to, I feel like, answer a little bit more of the questions that we have. Of course, we got to see Mallory in this season. You know, they kept bringing up Mallory. It's almost one of those things where you kept hearing them say over and over again, not after Mallory, not with what happened with Mallory.
Mm-hmm.
You did get to see her, and you got to, see what that was all about. I think season 2 is going to be, and in the words of Coach Gruden, it's going to be next level stuff. I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table.
The cast have posted some pictures of themselves because people are, like I said, they're freaking out saying, you guys better be working on season 2. I want season 2 now. And they've showed pictures, and they're, telling the masses to relax. We're working on it. But in those pictures, they're all soaked in blood. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, there's a picture of the Quaid kid flicking off the camera
he's
and
flicking
stuff.
them off. Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's just fucking entertaining, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, if there's anything you're gonna take from Jake and I, and I'm so sorry because I don't really like to do spoilers. I know a lot of people that are listening to this probably have already seen it and been like, yeah, guys, you might as well just say it anyway. But the point is for the people that have not, you guys need to see this.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying not to give away too much because there's still some subtle things. One of my favorite scenes in that, show was the airplane scene. Mm-hmm. And I just really enjoyed it for what it is, because it totally shows you, like, who they are and who Homelander is, and shows you that one group of people are nothing and the others are superheroes. And this is how they would pretty much act. And, like, I've told that scene to a couple people because I tried to convince them to watch it, but I love that scene. And yeah. I mean, so I don't necessarily want to ruin it. I mean, it's nothing crazy by any means. It definitely.
Well, there's 2 major airplane scenes that define Homelander.
Okay, yeah. So I'm talking about the one where it's him and Maeve, correct, and there's an airplane crashing.
The first airplane scene is when you do truly see who Homelander is. That's when you figure out who he is as a person. But the second one just kind of furthers, and again, like I said, I stick to my guns on this. Anytime I see Anthony Starr in the future, immediately my mind's going to be like, fuck that guy.
I just have his smile embedded because he's always just doing that smile. And then there's a couple moments where he drops it and he's serious, and then it comes right back. Like I say, he did phenomenal. I'm sure he'll win an award. I like that they pretty much did it was almost realistic in a sense. In the very beginning, Maeve, she stops an armored truck from being robbed. And in like any one of these superhero movies, the truck hits the character and the character or the truck like flips over them or something. Maeve is a solid object and she just rips the thing apart basically. Because I think that's pretty much how it would be. The airplane scene in which I'm describing, Homelander goes, oh, it's not like I could just go outside and grab it or whatever. She's like, just pick it up and fly it away. And he goes, with what? I can't put my feet on anything. And any other cartoon or show, Superman would just come and grab it and fly away. And he's like, that's not realistic. Would she say, oh, just fly? He goes, if I fly into it, I'll rip it apart. They're just trying to talk about how they could save these people while they're all freaking out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just like that because, I mean, I don't need it to be realistic superheroes. I'm okay with it being crazy, but I like that it's modern and real because This is like what it would be like. It'd be real problems. And they go, well, if we do this, we're going to get poor publicity, or we need good publicity. We can't look like the bad guys. We have to look like the good guys.
Yeah.
And it's all methodically thought out. It was very well done. I never got into the comic. I've known about it, but now it almost wants me to kind of look into it, but I at this point I just rather watch the series because I really just enjoy every character.
You know how I am, man. I'm lazy as hell. I don't read the comics. I don't look at them. I love hearing people say what they have to say. Love when people get really upset about little things like this villain didn't have this or this villain didn't have that, or, this guy should have been like this. But at the same time, I just look at it like, is it going to entertain me or not? Because if it entertains me, that's all I care about. I'm not going to read the comic. No disrespect to comic fans. You guys are wonderful human beings. I say it only with sincerity. I mean, this is a whole different generation that we're in now. When I was in high school, again, I'm 32 now. When I was in high school, nobody would want to raise their hand and be like, I read comic books. Nowadays, complete 180.
Oh, it's cool to be a nerd.
It's cool to be a nerd, and it's wonderful. And I couldn't be happier, but at the same time, it's just not my lifestyle. I would rather pick up a book and read a book than read a comic book. But I do just every once in a while, there's a handful of movies that I dig that come out of that universe, and or shows for that matter. I'm really excited for the new Watchmen show when it drops on HBO here in October. I kept HBO for that reason. I'm so ready to see it.
So for me, I like, we've done previous podcasts with a different name, and we talked about HBO, Netflix, Amazon, and things of that nature. And Amazon's kind of growing on me. I canceled my HBO subscription because I can't stand the waiting each week thing. When you think about it, isn't it kind of a silly thing? You're programmed by corporations to go, hey, you better free up time to watch this show at this time and this date. I mean, you don't have to do that, but that's when it's released. But I mean, point being is, I like this. Show me every episode at once. Let me watch it when I want to watch it.
That's how we are as a society now. We want everything right now.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
Absolutely.
But no, I like the fact that if I have nothing to do tomorrow, I can go, I'm going to watch 4 episodes. Or I can go, I'm going to watch 2. And it makes the shows better because you can continuously watch them. So like Watchmen and a few others, like Euphoria was on there. I watched the first episode of that. I thought it was okay.
Point being
is, I'm going to wait for that stuff to end, and then I'll go get it and watch it.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I mean, I've started to pay attention to Hard Knocks this year, like I had promised on our previous podcast. This would be the first year that I will actually watch Hard Knocks each and every week, as opposed to the few handful of episodes that I've ever watched. But no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's the tough part, is waiting that week or so sometimes. But at the same time, I mean, that's how it's technically supposed to be. If you think about it, that's how it should be. Shows are only supposed to be on once a week. We're big football fans, right?
Who says that?
Well,
society, and then Netflix came around and they changed it.
For sure.
There's a lot of shows that I wouldn't watch because I don't like to sit there and watch every week. And to me, they became better when you could just binge watch it. If The Boys was an every week thing, it would have genuinely took some of the oomph away from me. Because I'd go, oh, now I have to wait each week. And then it's kind of a quick, well, what was last episode? What was this kind of thing? And I don't like that. And I mean, it's not that I'm just that forgetful, but
I think that in general, streaming and binge watching, whatever words you want to use, to me, what it has done for us as a society is it's made things to where we have instant gratification. And on top of it, it does help build momentum, I feel. Like, meaning that instead of, like you just said, you're waiting a week, maybe you find a dinner plan that night, instead of staying in and watching it, you find a dinner plan. You're going to have to really be like dedicated to that show and dedicated to that hour, that time block that it's supposed to be. Now, like you said, you just go, well, I mean, again, for me, I'm up at night with my baby right now, my newborn baby, and I'm thinking, you know what? I've got to kill some time in between when she wakes up and, I have to change her diaper and she wants food and wants to, eat. So I look at it like, yeah, it is really, really nice to be able to have at the tip of my fingers, these shows I can stream. I loved Good Omens. I felt so bad. I told you, I'm like, dude, you told me to watch The Boys. So of course I watch Good Omens first, but I'll watch The Boys. Wow. But, maybe that's what you'll have to do next, is watch Good Omens. And then we can finally talk about that.
No, I'm going to watch that for sure. I liked, I know we've kind of gotten off topic here, but I watched Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy's thing, and I thought that was pretty good. The second season's supposed to be coming out soon. Amazon kills me with, they put these trailers out and they just go, coming soon, and then I don't really tell you. But every single episode, if it ended with someone walking through a door, the next episode was them coming through the other side of that door, and I like that continuation. It was pretty much like a 6-hour movie just broken up into parts, and I like that because it's just a straight continuation. So that's pretty cool. I like what they're doing. For those who have actually made it this far and cared enough, and we're kind of curious if you haven't already looked, IMDb, not BD, they gave The Boys an 8.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 81%, and 97% of people liked it, according to Google users. This is out of 58,000 people.
At this point, we can say it's critically acclaimed. We can use that sentence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, again, this is something that...
Well, it's not going to be for everybody.
No.
That's what I mean. Some people are going to watch this and go, this is grotesque, this is stupid, this isn't my kind of thing.
But most people are going to, especially in we can say in the comic book spectrum, the superhero, the action, obviously comedy even. I love comedy. That's been my favorite part of this series was the underlying humor in all of this. Of course, you've listened to Jake and I this far, we don't exactly not say swear words. We use our potty mouths here and there. This is up your alley if you like swearing and bad language.
I kind of feel like just because we're talking about this show, it's just coming out of me because there is a lot of vulgarity, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just like that it's not the typical crap, dude. I mean, everyone's obsessed with superhero stuff, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy those movies as well. But this is a change of pace. That's why Deadpool was so successful, because it wasn't a typical superhero movie. It was kind of a guy with superpowers who's an asshole, does terrible shit and good shit. And it was kind of break the fourth wall there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time.
Yeah. But which was, that's cool because it's a nice change of pace. And to me, that's what this is. I don't need to see the same superhero and same concept over and over and over. So that's the thing. Is like, if you like superhero stuff, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
Even if you may not be into vulgarity or graphic stuff, whatever it may be, take a watch. There is a couple parts of nudity. I think quite frankly, it's just male. I think it's male.
There's female nudity too, but it's pretty quick. It's not as if it's prolonged periods of nudity. Obviously, for people that are worried about that facet too, they're not sitting there naked for very long. But yeah, there is male nudity in this. Kind of the whole Game of Thrones trope that I make fun of all the time.
I think it was like 1-2 scenes, if that.
Sure. It's not bad enough to think about.
No, I actually was kind of surprised because of that, because of how those other shows are. It's like that's my issue with streaming services. As soon as there's one adult program show, it's pretty much, how much nudity can we throw in this?
I started watching the new season of Glow, getting more off topic, and there's been way more nudity so far in the third season, and I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but way more nudity in the third season than there was in the second season. So I almost wonder if someone complained that there wasn't much nudity.
Yeah, you gotta ramp that shit up.
Yeah, gotta put up tits and ass, man.
No, it's not always necessary. For those who obviously are still here at this point, if you haven't watched The Boys, check it out. Also, if you hate The Boys and you think what we're saying is ludicrous, stupid, and you don't want to talk to us, go ahead and tweet at us. Jake and Mike know. We're on Twitter. All this, I think I should have it linked below, or if not. But, I'm genuinely curious. I know about 4 or 5 people that have watched it, and so far everybody likes it, besides one of my friend's friends. He said he watched 4 episodes and gave up because it was the stupidest show he has seen in a while, and called me an idiot and crazy for suggesting it. And I was like, But like I said, I liked it. So I'm genuinely just curious about everybody else. I don't want everything to be, a Mike and I thing where we're just sitting here going, this show's great. Everything's great. What we're saying is valid, and our opinion is the only thing that matters.
Believe what we tell you.
Yeah. I'm genuinely curious. If people don't like it, I'm kind of curious why. I wonder if the vulgarity or the graphicness of it, the blood explosions,
portraying something that's supposed to be held in high regard and very low regard. I mean, superheroes are supposed to be like the highest of moral character. They're supposed to be good and good-hearted and good intentions, and this group of people is just nothing but trash.
I'm very interested to see what everybody has to say, so please, share your thoughts with us.
Thanks for tuning in to our first real episode here with Nerds and Beyond. We look forward to gaining some of you guys coming over with us here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of silly things, and we enjoy a lot of stuff, so we think we're going to at least give you guys a couple of belly laughs here and there. But even if you guys don't like us, well, you know what? We're going to be here.
Don't really necessarily we're not going to just sit here and review TV shows or movies. Maybe occasionally. This was just something that's kind of relevant and we enjoyed. So stick with us and give us your thoughts and opinions. Thanks for listening.
Be well.